All right, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order, 6:31. Nobody is present, so we'll skip public comments. Anything for agenda review?
We do need a non-public under small letter C, and we need to add emergency authorization for a French teacher.
Will there be non-public discussion on that, or should we do it in 4?
I don't think we need to.
Board members, anything to add? Oh, okay. Yep. Okay, then we'll move on to 4. So we need action on the budget tonight and the warrant because we present on Thursday to NBC, right? No. Oh, okay.
Yeah, they're receiving. Yep.
Oh, we're not doing the first one before the holiday this year? Okay.
So they're going to just receive the budget.
Okay.
And then after they'll get their budget binders. And so the warrant articles don't, if you needed more time on warrant articles, you could have it. And I haven't sent them to Dean until you guys tell me you're happy with what you have. And then I'll send them to Dean for review.
Okay. So Amber, we've got a sheet in our drive of what's changed in the budget. It's reflective of the conversations that we had last week. There was also a note that there was a mistaken salary decrease for people that we had voted to accept their retirement requests. Forgot that they would still be here next year, so that money's been put back in. Except for
right.
one,
Yep.
correct?
One is out, and the others, yeah. The requirement notice is they won't be retiring until the year after. So I have that amount for you. No, these were printed before we realized that. So I told Amber I would just give you the number, and then before the NBC gets it on Thursday, she'll put them in the correct lines. Yeah. So do you want me to go through the whole summary?
I've read it. If you want to hit the high notes,
sure.
Maybe the section.
Yeah.
Sure.
Absolutely.
Just to put it out there, the budgets have not been dropped off to the town yet?
No, the binders, we'll give them the binders after break.
Okay.
And I don't think they'll be ready for Thursday. If we can get them, we will.
The binders?
Yeah.
So
they'll
we're
get
gonna
the
get
budget.
this budget.
Yes.
All right, on
Yes.
Thursday.
Yes.
So David is probably not there. May
Oh,
or may not
okay.
be there.
Okay.
So I'll reach out. I'll call you tomorrow and let you know. I'll talk to Mark
Yep.
and Dave to see if he is there or not.
Okay.
And then we'll go from there. All
Okay.
right. Cool.
Yes.
Thursday.
Yep. Okay. So for the summary sheet, we you had made a motion to cut $45,000 to use from instructional materials. It actually came out to be $45,705. I went through and identified lines and verified with principals that these were things that could be easily purchased outside of the fiscal year if we move ahead with that. And then for the regular ed salaries, that was an increase of $54,394, and that's to restore 2 more paraprofessionals for kindergarten, as we discussed at the last meeting. And then the fringes also for those positions. And then for special education, you chose to cut $100,000. I took it from 2 easy places, just took it from contracted services from Hill and Three Rivers. Those lines are pretty big, so I just took $50,000 from each. And then we just discussed some salaries were adjusted that we need to adjust back up. So we'll be adding some money at the end. We did find out about a couple of salary and track changes for people that were getting degrees and would move them up on the salary table. So we included those to make sure those were captured. And then Amber did a summary of what the changes were. So the increase for those salary adjustments were $62,594. So you have a new bottom line. Unless you're intending to make changes, that's it for now.
Okay, so I guess just open it up for broad discussion on budget and warrant articles, and eventually, I guess we don't need a vote on warrant articles. I'd love to get that done, but we need to take a roll call vote on the budget. So, last shot for any questions, concerns, ideas, adjustments, any other word I can throw out there. I'm just trying to dig up if anybody has it so it's faster. What the increase is with the new bottom line against the voted budget of last year. Sure, I know it's on one of those pages.
So I might just give you the numbers.
Sure.
The voted budget for
425.
yep is 31,208,352. Yep. 31,208,352. And the new bottom line that if you leave the budget as is will be 33,429,347.
And is last year's proposed on there? I could dig up a tax impact sheet or something.
No. It would be, roughly 3 million. You mean before the cut?
Right. So what I'm getting at is I think we're still right. I think this proposed budget is under what last year's proposed budget is, correct? I mean, I know a $2.2 million increase doesn't sound small, but honestly, with the work that we had to do and the positions that we lost and yada yada, I was expecting worse.
I know we haven't gotten to warrant articles yet, but before I forget to let you know, I did send the warrant article to Dean, making you agents to expend, and I haven't heard back from him yet, so that language might have to change. That was just me drafting something.
Could probably take a tentative vote on that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. We usually vote on them and then get legal review on the language.
I just ask for my own when we break it down on this, which I like, regular programs, just so that I know what's in there, right? That's all of the staff salaries, but not the benefits, because the benefits are in different lines.
That's right. And it's not all the staff salaries. So nurses have a different line. They're lower in the budget. Special ed is in the 1200s, but regular programs is all the,
okay. And special programs is all
special education. Yep.
And that also does not include any benefits for people involved in that?
That's correct.
So all benefits, no matter what category.
Are in the same. Yep. Those are all lumped together. Yep.
Okay.
And I think I remember the answer to this, but 2700 transportation, is special ed transportation in 2700 or is it in 1200?
Nope, it's in 2700.
Okay.
Yep.
And word services, this again is for my education.
2300s. I don't want to be the wrong information.
Some of it is our stuff, like
Legal notices
School Board Association dues.
It's more than that for them.
Make sure that people don't think that we're
Yeah, we're not
You
dealing
don't
with
know.
$900,000. That's
That
for
is
sure.
not all that is no. Yep. So you're recording, secretary, any advertising, any board expenses, your dues for NHSBA, treasurers, moderators, legal notices, auditing. Oh, and that's where your SAU
So you add.
share, yes, is paid from.
Okay.
Yep.
Which is most, I think I looked
It's
that
not
up.
administrative services. That's
Right.
No, no.
I think that's like 908,000 of that 994,000.
Yeah, your budget's not anything.
It's fine.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Would it be possible to get, percentages of decreases and increases over this year's budget on this one? I don't think we need it for like a
So-
breakdown here. Like,
On those summary lines over
yeah,
here.
yeah, and then on the total percentages.
So the percent increase from
Or
this
increase.
current voted budget to what we're proposing.
Yeah.
Okay.
And on the last page also for that breakdown of regular, special, all the way down.
So you want the percentages on these two, everything in the summary,
If we
basically.
could, yeah.
Okay.
And I don't expect it for Thursday. I just,
Okay. Yep.
Dean, I'm sorry, you're asking for percentages based on the current 24-25 budget?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So the 25,
Yeah.
26
Yeah.
versus the
That's-
24, 25.
Yeah, and I would think that when we go to present anything in January, we absolutely want to, show that. The raw number won't mean anything.
Right.
Right.
All listeners out there. Can we just back up to what you were saying about retirement?
Yes.
Can you explain that
Yes.
to me?
So you approved retirements at the last board meeting,
Yeah.
though because of the new collective bargaining agreement, half the salary is paid out in December and the other half is in July. They are now a fiscal year behind, so they are not going to be done at the end of next year. They're going to be done at the end of the following year. So they have one more year to work.
So, okay,
So their salaries need to stay because they're going to
Okay.
be here next year.
okay,
And they were done at 26. Is that right? Yes, 26.
thank you.
It used to be December notice and done this June, and now it's December notice done next June. And that's an atypical, that's specific to Pembroke. So we lowered salaries to Masters 5 on a few people that are going to be here next year. So we have to put that back.
If I could make a request, the original summary document that's in the separate budget folder in the drive, if that could be updated with, I mean, there's been changes since then.
The first one, you mean?
Yeah,
Given? Yeah.
it's dated November 12th.
Yep.
I find that to be a very helpful summary, but I just want to make sure that the numbers are correct on it. Sure that something's changed since then.
Yeah, that was, Amber's been giving that to NBCs and they like that
Yeah,
document too.
it's not. She's done it before, but it was like a one pager, and this is a little bit more
Yeah.
in depth, and I think it's really helpful. But it's outdated right now,
Yeah.
so
And you don't need it for this Thursday.
no. Just when we go to MVC
Yeah.
is fine.
For the
Yeah.
presentation.
Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
and more too. I think for whatever that's something I should have put on agenda review is we were talking about doing some sessions in January. We should talk about dates tonight. We're done with this. All right. Any other discussions, questions, clarifications, or does somebody want to make a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept the budget as presented dated December 17th, 2024.
Do you want to give the new bottom number after we add in? You have that?
Yeah.
With a
Because we have to add those salary adjustments back
with
in.
the total budget being $33,429,347.
Okay, is there a second? All right, one last call for discussion. Okay, I think we usually roll call this one. So on a roll call vote to approve the budget of 33,429,347 as presented in the 1217 budget document. Ken,
Yes.
Carrie, Melanie,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. Okay. Thoughts and feelings on taking first votes on warrant articles? I don't think there's any major clarifications or anything that we expect to change. I feel like we can probably go ahead after I get my copy out. Is everybody comfortable doing that today? Okay. I hate this part because I feel like I probably actually have to read them, right? Or no?
You can summarize.
Right.
For our purposes. Oh, that's right.
What's that?
Sandy doesn't have a copy of these. I think as long as you say the name of the trust and the amount that you're putting in and how it's funded, that would be the important information.
Okay. So is there a motion to approve or I'll ask for a motion, get a motion, and then I'll read it, the whole thing, or summarize it. So a motion to approve Article 2 with the 33 million number that we just voted. I mean, we
So
kind of
moved.
just did that, but is there a second?
Second.
Okay, then all in favor of approving the school budget for 33,429,347 as spelled out in Article 2, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, is there a motion on Article 3?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, so Article 3 is to vote to raise an appropriate sum of $150,000 to be added to the school building.
55.
Sorry, yep, $155,000 to be added to the school building capital reserve fund. This would be from surplus at the end of the 24-25 school year. Any conversation? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right? Action on Article 4.
Move Article 4.
Wait, is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right, Article 4 is to vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $260,000 for roof replacements, greenhouse paneling, replacement flooring district-wide to withdraw from the school building capital reserve fund. Any other questions or comments? Yep.
Did we talk about not saying specifically what we were going to use that for, just so that we weren't pigeonholed, or did
So
we say we had to?
we've had this conversation actually like every year that I've been on the board. And from what I remember, and for the millions watching at home, if I say this wrong, Jerry, please tell me. But I think over the years we have gotten somewhat mixed messages from Municipal Budget Committee. I think we have both been told we'd like some specificity in there so the public knows, and we've been told, hey, you shouldn't be so specific so you don't paint yourself into a corner. So I'm certainly open to changing the language if anyone cares, but we've done it both ways and it's never been a problem. And I think those specific examples are pretty much guaranteed to be done anyway. So it's up to you guys.
That is my recollection as well, that we got
So
input from Dean, who had initially said, you probably want to take the purpose out. It's not required. And then, like you said, you're not pigeonholed into doing it. But then MBC did say, if we're going to vote to withdraw the funds, we'd like to know what they're going to be used for.
All right, so I'm fine to leave it as is then.
Okay. Any other questions, comments? All right. Then all in favor of approving Article 4? Aye.
aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Okay. Article 5.
So moved.
For a second. All right. So Article 5 is to appoint the Pembroke School Board as agents to expend from the school building capital reserve fund.
So I seem to remember that you need 2/3, but this is my draft of that article. I need to have Dean take a look, and there might need to be more language that needs to be added to that. And I don't believe there's going to need to be a recommendation from the budget committee because there's no funding attached to it. So this will be cleaned up. This is
Okay.
just our first go around. And if you want to take the vote to put it on or not, that would be good to move it forward.
Yeah, I'd say we've got a motion. I would say move it forward. So,
Thank you.
any other questions or clarifications on that? All right, then all in favor?
Yep. If it doesn't require a 2/3, does it lock us in to requiring a 2/3?
No,
Okay.
I will change. I will edit this as needed.
Okay.
I think the vote is really, yes, we want to make ourselves agents to
Mhm.
expend. Now Dean can make sure and tell us how to word the article.
Okay.
And I don't think the warrant is official until we submit a final version
Right.
in January anyway.
So then, yes.
Okay, then are all in favor of approving Article 5?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? All right, a motion on Article 6.
So moved.
Is there a second? All right, Article 6 is to vote to raise and appropriate a sum of up to $200,000 to be added to the Site Improvement Expendable Trust Fund. This would come from the unassigned fund balance at the end of the 24-25 school year. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Right, then all in favor of approving Article 6?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right.
I just noticed something in number 7. Shouldn't that be the site improvement? It says school
Yeah.
building.
Yes.
Yeah, I
Supposed
just
to be
caught
site.
that.
We already did
Yeah,
school
we'll
building.
cross that off.
Good spot.
So we'll read that as a site improvement.
Okay. A motion on 7?
Sorry, withdrawal.
Come on, people. Somebody make a motion.
So moved.
All right. All right. Thank you. Any discussion on that one? So again, it's to vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $495,000, primarily for the purpose of the track replacement at Pembroke Academy, to withdraw those funds from the Site Improvement Capital Reserve Fund. Any other questions, comments, discussion? Right, then all in favor of approving Article 7? Aye.
Aye.
Opposition? Abstentions?
Something just popped back into my head because the timing of Article 7 or 6, 7. Because those funds won't be available until December, which means we need to have, it wouldn't occur until 26.
Yes.
26.
Yeah. Yeah.
26.
Yeah.
So we'd have to have those funds encumbered before,
Not out of a trust fund.
not out of a trust fund?
No.
Okay.
Once you have the monies and you vote to withdraw, it's really just doing it in the same year in terms of the auditing purposes. So you can cross fiscal years, but you have to take the action in the same fiscal year.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
Good clarification.
Mhm.
All right, action on 8. Is there a second? Okay, so similar to Article 5, Article 8 is to appoint the Pembroke School Board as agents to expend from the Site Improvement Expendable Trust. Any other discussion, questions, comments on that one? All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving Article 8?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right. Action on 9. Second. All right. Article 9 is to vote to raise and appropriate the sum of up to $25,000 to be added to the Equipment Installation and Labor Expendable Trust Fund. Again, this would come from unassigned fund balance at the end of the 24-25 school year. Any questions, comments, discussion on Article 9? All right, then all in favor of approving Article 9? Any opposed? Any abstentions? Right. Action on 10. A second?
Second.
Discussion, comments, questions? Okay, Article 10 is to raise an appropriate sum of $10,000 to be added to the Vehicle Expendable Trust Fund, again, from unassigned fund balance. If there's no discussion, then all in favor of approving Article 10? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and last but not least, action on 11. Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, Article 11 is vote to raise an appropriate sum of up to $10,000 to be added to the school technology expendable trust, again from unassigned fund balance. Any other discussion, comments, questions? All right, then all in favor of approving Article 11?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? Fantastic.
Awesome.
Okay. Let's see. All right. Does anybody have any questions about the budget or warrant post votes?
Not really, but I was just thinking in my head, and I don't know if you want to save it for later. Do we want to go over like the date that we
That's
reserved?
Yep, that's what I was just gonna do. I just want to make sure nobody had anything before we move on.
Sounds like
Okay, so I think where we sort of settled is that we wanted to try to do 2 public sessions. I don't think the intention was to require anybody from the school side to be there. If Patty or Amber have nothing better to do and want to join us, certainly welcome. But I hesitate to put more on their plate. Melanie, I believe, has a tentative reservation at the Pembroke Library for one of them. Is that correct?
yeah, it's January 28th, starting at 6:30, and I'll pick up the key.
Okay.
So, what platform we're going to offer an online option through?
Yep, I can work on that and make sure we've got something lined up.
We thinking 6:00.
6:30. Just chose our normal school board time, and then told them we'd be out by 9 with cleanup and everything, and then I know how to set the alarm and drop the key.
So I think we had held January 14th as a backup date in case NBC asked us to have a meeting.
Mhm.
So that seems like a logical date to have the other one. I think we can't really go past the 28th because then we're into public hearing time anyway. But that also ties us up for every single Tuesday in January. So just throwing that out there.
I don't think, we've got one before public hearing at least. And I don't think it would be a bad idea to have another one after public hearing, because I think really that's really when it starts getting talked about more often than not.
Do you know when public hearing is?
Guys, you have time to do
Yeah.
It's a Thursday, right?
Thursday,
6th.
6th.
Okay. Oh, so that's early. We've got a bunch of time then.
February 6th.
It's a public hearing.
Yep.
And our meetings are the 4th and the 18th that month. Is that right?
Yes.
Is the 11th too close to the public hearing or not? Or should we look at a night other than Tuesday so that if there are people like us that have Tuesday night commitments, we give them a chance to be there? Should we look at a Thursday maybe?
Thursday is that for
They should be. Do they usually meet between? I thought they usually didn't meet between
Usually
public hearing and
Don't. Right?
Okay. A Wednesday then? Nobody's going to come on a Friday.
And AREA.
Okay.
the 5th or the 19th, I mean.
I mean, the 19th would, it's like right in between the public hearing and school district meeting. That's like the ideal date, but the 26th also could work. I don't know.
26th vacation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
People might be
Yeah.
gone. Mm.
All that.
So we want to say the 19th? And do we want to see if the library is available or do we want to do one here?
I'll arrange for coverage somehow for you. We have a Deerfield board meeting that night, so I won't be here. But I think Josh can have the building open, have the room set up for you, and I think you're
Okay.
more than capable of.
Yeah, and whatever's
We
easier
need
for,
we can have the computer here for
Yeah.
you to
and
start
also
a meeting.
whatever's easier for Josh. If it's easier to put us in the auditorium so he doesn't have to mess with chairs or in the cab,
Okay.
whatever. I don't want to make anybody do anything crazy extra. I'd like to think we'll get some people, but I also, we're not going to have 150 people either. So whatever, I'll take his professional recommendation for space. How about
Okay.
that?
So are we saying 14th of January, 28th of January, and then the 19th of February, or
No.
which one of those are we not doing?
Not to the
not the
14th.
14th. So January 28th and February 19th.
Those are both basically the same info session.
Yeah, pretty much. I think, yeah, the only thing I would say might be different is, and we can publicize this, like, I assume, especially since Patty and Amber won't be there, we'll probably get some questions we may not be able to answer, and we can let people know we'll answer them at subsequent meetings.
Yeah.
So really, that 219 one, there might be a little bit of extra meat on the bone, but as far as, the information that we present, I assume it'll be identical.
On the 19th, what time do we want to start? The normal time? 6:30?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Everybody.
I just want to make sure because
yeah, that's what I was,
I'll take the public hearing and that night off. I'll put it in.
okay. Okay. Um, RPA, library. Okay, that's good too. Not having one early in January gives me a little bit of time after holidays to get things drawn up and then share with all of you and then polish and
And you can divvy some up. I don't mind helping out.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
Yeah.
pitch in and,
okay.
Yeah.
And then just if you give Amber advance notice, because she's working on lots of budgets, we can get you whatever you need.
Okay.
Just let us know.
The one thing though, now, so once everything from tonight is
Yep.
in there,
Yep.
if she can get me the Excel
Excel.
export,
Mhm.
that would be super helpful.
Yeah, I had made a note of that. Didn't get you
Start
that.
making a bunch of,
Maneuver the
Yeah.
relate the info. Okay.
color code.
hmm
Okay. All right. Anything else on budget, warrant, anything like that?
Are we keeping the meeting on the 14th on the calendar just in case?
Yeah, I
Just hold it.
I think so. I will. I mean, to be real clear, my intention is to not meet that day, but I
Just in
want
case.
to. Yeah, I want to
Leave
be
it on.
respectful of budget committee if they.
Goes at it.
Yeah,
Like,
make a request.
Yeah.
Okay, doesn't
Even
hurt
if
to
it's
leave it
the-
on.
Right. Yep. And if we do meet, I assume it'll be something fast. If they have a recommendation, we're going to come in here, review that recommendation, vote yes or no, and go home. So we won't add anything extra. If we do have to have the meeting, we won't put anything more on it. It'll just be very functional and
I just want to keep the library. Not that this time of year there's a line of people signing up the library on a Tuesday night, but I'll keep it for you.
Any concerning January 9th with Jess at budget?
Nope, she can be there.
Okay.
Yep, she's
Okay.
good.
I'll just let them know.
Yep, she's happy to.
I basically forgot during the whole Thanksgiving yeah. So
Yeah.
sorry for the late.
Yeah, no, she was fine with that. I had told her that I thought they might want her to come. We were just kind of waiting to hear when.
you should invite Gordon to that. He's got questions.
Don't get me started.
Okay. All right. Strategic planning. Melanie, I'm just going to let you take this.
Do we want to work on it? So
Do you want to move
brand
it?
new computer.
It's we can work on it or we can move it down and come back to it depending on
No,
whatever you want to do.
I brought my computer because I figured if people throw ideas out, we can add some stuff in there and get a couple of things done. I think we should probably start with the mission statement, but whatever you guys want.
Yeah.
Been a while since I looked at the
Yeah.
document and
So it is in the
Yeah.
drive
um,
last meeting.
oh, thank you.
Oh,
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll just look at it on my screen.
Here you go. Does it Does it make sense for us to start with maybe what's already in? Say,
I can read the goals that we put you, our goals thing. Is that what you're talking about?
yeah,
Our spreadsheet?
I only thought of this honestly because I was walking down the. So it's like, what do we do with that if we write something that's not? Do we have to take it off the wall? I don't know. So anyway, something that maybe would start with. We don't have to stay there, but I'm thinking like incorporate.
Stay in line with the high school.
Put out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I don't want PA to be out of sync with whatever we. But
And they're working on their new strategic plan as well, for NEASC. So, they can share whatever they come up with you. I'm sure this will be a fluid document for you.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we can do that too.
I know you're the newest one, Ken. Do you know that, do you want me to read what we have in that spreadsheet?
you can just summarize. I didn't.
We didn't have a lot of,
So
we had some basic goals that we've been
Yeah.
just following.
Yeah.
The first one was the Pembroke School Board will prepare a responsible student first budget for the 24-25, but academic year that provides more than an adequate education per New Hampshire state adequate education standards prior to the Pembroke School District deliberative session. And then we had one, we don't have any contracts this year, next year, do they?
Mm-mm.
Not already, but the following year. So we have one that addresses the CBAs for both the teachers and the paraprofessionals. And then we have another one that was for expanding, renovating, whatever we're going to do with the Hill School, which obviously has been on hold since last March. But can't be forgotten about, or we're gonna be in a village situation. In collaboration with SAU 53 Exec Board, the Pembroke School Board will implement a process and conduct an evaluation of the superintendent on a yearly basis. The Exec Board did approve a superintendent evaluation form. Create a district communication plan, which is the first goal that I put in there because that's what we keep hearing the most of.
Mhm.
And the culture and climate survey, which was done, and we do have results in the drive. So that's where we're at. Normally, the strategic plans I've worked on, people have thrown out ideas and we've created a mission statement first, but
yeah, and I think that that's fine. Something that is, I guess the question would be, what's the time frame for the strategic plan too? Is this a 3-year? Is it supposed to be evergreen? What does this body think about that?
So that's
Yeah.
that was part of the struggle when we first. So we broached the topic of strategic planning a long time ago at this point, and that was part of my struggle because the makeup of the board can change drastically from year to year too. So I think that's still a bit of an open-ended question. I guess in my mind, without thinking about it too hard, I think of like a 5 to 10 year type thing, or something very broad, almost like a mission statement, but like kind of a bunch of little mission statements, right? Like here's our goal, not necessarily a smart, measurable, but one of the things we strive to do as a Pembroke School Board is to be transparent to our community. Where there's not a time frame, there's not a, you can kind of measure your success constantly type of thing. But I don't know about strategic planning.
Yeah.
So.
I honestly think it would be different than like most of the ones I've done have been 3 to 5 years. But honestly, as a school board, I was thinking more like it's going to be pretty broad. Hey, this is our communication plan. We're going to get our Facebook running. We're going to feed information out there. We're going to use One Call Now. We're going to do this. More like a year that each school board, as it changes, it will be so, it's not going to be a huge document that it'll be easy to review yearly.
Right.
That's what I was thinking.
So that sounds a lot like goals, but I guess if you want to frame it as strategic planning, what we could do is have the strategic plan part of it almost be like the consistent template that we use to create goals every year.
Yeah.
Like every year we're going to come up with a goal or more that has to do with facilities. Every year we're going to come up with a goal or more that has to do with transparency and communication and this and that. And then it's used
Yeah.
every year,
Yeah.
kind of redone, but you got that framework that
Exactly.
remains.
Yeah.
That guides
I would
That's
also,
what I was
also-
thinking.
I would also say, you know, there's some wisdom in saying we don't do 10-year ones anymore.
No,
In higher ed, it's
Yeah, I was
like,
going to say.
we used to do
10
5
years.
and they were like, that's
Yeah.
too long.
that's
That's
true.
three, you know?
Yeah.
And so, you know, one of the things that I think we can think about is it's all well and good to throw your hat over the wall and try to chase after it and not get to chase after it. At least you were trying to do something, right? That's how, kind of how these things generally work. But I do think there is something to be said for the board to start thinking about where do we want to be in 3 years?
Yeah.
Right? Where do we want to maybe be in 5 years? Whether you get there or not, there's a lot of, as we know, lots of conditional things. But at least that would communicate out to the community as well. When we put things together, we're thinking about being in this place in X number of years, rather than playing, not to belittle it, but a kind of like an annual whack-a-mole
Yeah.
with everything that kind of comes down the pike. So I agree, Andy, with what you're saying, that what we're trying to do is create almost a template for thinking on an annual basis, right? This is what I hear you saying.
Yeah.
I think at the same time, we can have goals that are
Long, yeah.
annual and then goals that are more sort of aspirational, not sort of aspirational, that kind of stuff on the wall. We can have that too. That's great. But, you know, to say, for instance, in 3 years, we want to be, you know, we want to be a sought after district for every teacher in the state. That's a goal. Like, we want to be at the top of the hiring pool, you know, of every school in the state. We want to have, restore, you know, our athletic facilities to, you know, some of the best, like whatever it can be. And that's going to have very specific action plans that on a year-to-year basis, you're going to have to say, well, we established this as a 3-year kind of target. What are we doing this year and what are we going to do next year to kind of reach that, right? That to me sets up the story then when you do these budget presentations. And when you say the reason why we need to fix the track isn't just that it's not going to be compliant anymore, which is true. It's because we have another set of goals that we as a community want to achieve, right? They're concrete. They're not just sort of willy-nilly. You know, you woke up one morning and decided you wanted to put money in this thing over here. That's kind of, so I think it's a kind of a both and proposition. I guess.
That's exactly what I was thinking too, is like they're very stuff that you can review every year, but a few of them, like the Hill School, is like a
That would be like a
within
3-year
3
project,
years,
right?
we're going to
Like-
bring a warrant and this is what we need to do. You know what I mean? Correct.
Yep. Yeah.
We do. Yeah. So you can do a mixture.
Yeah.
So do we want to try tonight to come up with some core areas that need to be addressed? Like, throw out some buzzwords, like we said, facilities. We said transparency / accountability, staff satisfaction or desirable.
Yeah.
whatever.
A specific communication strategy, not just communicate more better, but a
Right.
strategy.
Yeah.
Communicate.
So
Right.
that's what I have for the first goal for us to work on. And we can do that first if we want, is to create a district communication plan. And the first thing is why? What are the challenge we have with communication? Should we? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is what I last night thinking this through. You know, there's the message, there's the messenger, or in social media world, platform, right? That's the messenger, and then the audience, and you know, sometimes the message gets muddled because we get into the weeds on things. We then don't know where to put it or how to get it out there because the platforms are all atomized and siloed. And therefore, on the back end of it, the person who needs to get what they need to get doesn't get what they need. So that somehow we have to, and some of this is just repetition. It's just sort of, you just need to do the same thing again, 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 and again, and again. Some of this is gaming the algorithms inside of these platforms, right? If you do it enough times, it'll start to float to the top of people's kind of, you know, consciousness and feeds. So, but yeah.
website.
Right.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I would, so a couple of specifics to just jot down however you want is getting the Facebook page up and running. And again, I apologize for being delinquent on that, but
I think Carrie was working on getting a password. Sorry.
Yes, I'm working on, I may have to just start fresh, like you had mentioned, because I was struggling with the whole, and Josh has been great. Josh has been very helpful, but for some reason, the codes that he would give me were not matching up. And so it's just been kind of a struggle. So
yeah.
I'm wondering if maybe I should just come in and sit with him and we could do that. Yeah. So, but yes, we are
Yep.
full steam ahead.
And then another one that I would like to call out, and this is maybe longer term than we want it to be because it's not an easy ask, but I would like a document repository on the SAU website that is outside of the SharePoint ecosystem. Did it get moved?
Before Ashley left, that was her goal, and everything is now in a shared Google.
Okay.
So everything, the policies, everything's been migrated. So it's going to be so much easier to drop. I think what you're getting at is to drop it in and
It's
it
not
automatically
shared.
goes.
Yeah, it's not shared.
And then open. Yep.
Okay.
So
So that's
that's a
good. Never mind. You
huge-
don't have to write that down.
Okay.
It's done.
That was huge.
I do
Yeah,
think
that's
that-
really big.
that I keep hearing from the community on all the pages. Well, we see a lot, but
Yeah. Mhm.
is that those that are not in school anymore are not getting the one call nows. And we need those that no longer have kids in the district to show up and vote and support our schools. So they need to get the information ahead of time too, to educate them.
So can we
I
ask
think-
that question of one call now? I feel like it's I don't know specifically about one call now, but I know enough about software to know that's not a hard thing. And maybe maybe there's an increased licensing fee or something, but it seems like we should be able to drop a button somewhere on the website that says opt into one call now notifications, and then you check. I want PA notifications, I want TRS notifications, I want and then anybody in the community could get that. I feel like that's probably something they offer.
Do it in our current account because I've asked Josh about this because it's tied to the student information system. So it's only for like you enter the kids, they have an account, so they get this. But we started doing something, and this is, you'll understand it more than, obviously better than I can explain it, but the town of Deerfield is doing something that you can subscribe to. So they actually gave a Deerfield board member access to the town website, and they can put things on the town website. And if people are subscribed, they will get it.
Okay.
Don't ask me how it works, but I don't know if that's.
I was-
I don't know if Pembroke Town uses something like that.
Explore news and information stream for general public, something like that.
So I was going to ask about one call now too, because when you sent out your letter saying that you were going to retire at the end of the year, students that are R8 that are attending elsewhere, we'll say, those parents didn't know. They don't get the one call now, even though they're even though we're paying quite a bit of money, they are our students, but they heard from parents. So they called me. They're like, is it really true? And I'm like, it is public. Yes, that went out. It is really true. But then I was like, wow, those students don't get the one call now. But we also need those parents to be educated to show up there for our budget. So we got to figure that
And
out.
can I, sorry, my ignorance again. What does one call do?
It's basically mailing lists that tie into
Is it
the
an
phone
email
system.
list? An email. That's what I thought. Okay. 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 So when it comes, let's just go with the dinosaur there of email. There is no sort of widespread email system or platform by which we could just let everyone out. We don't currently have that. So I mean,
Right.
here's where I'm going with this. Like, I don't know how anyone would feel about whether it's a purchased platform or something like that, but just for getting information that can be public, right? Anything that we would just put out on a social media page, whatever. It's just as easy to do something like a Substack or something like that, where people would subscribe with their email address, and everything you put on there gets pushed out.
Right.
What's it
Every
called?
single thing but on Substack. It's where a lot of
Yeah.
like journalists and academics have
I'm just gonna put it in there.
But I don't know. I mean, I think businesses are using it. Publications are using it now. Lots of it's just you subscribe, you put your email address. It kind of works the way a blog used to work. It frankly is an old blog. It's an RSS feed, basically, is what it is. But you can actually arrange things, and it actually, when you land on the page, it looks nice and everything's kind of arranged properly. So, but will just go to your email box in the absence of being able to expand, to whom those things go. It seems like a fairly straightforward way to do this without relying on the algorithm of Facebook to put our stuff ahead of one of the other 15 Pembroke pages that are out there. So you could, there are, yes, yep, absolutely.
Yep.
Anytime if you post something there, you can cross it to Instagram, you can cross it to Facebook, I guess TikTok.
Yeah.
I know, not that you want to, or we'll be able to in a few months. But yeah.
So I had a couple things too, like 8th grade. It's like every other week. There's a newsletter that goes through the email. I know it's extra work for us. I know the elementary school does newsletters, but maybe quarterly, just 3 sentences. Hey, your Pembroke School Board is having informational sessions and there's an online format. It's on this date at this time.
And this platform would be perfect for that. It really would. Yeah.
So I was thinking of those newsletters. The other thing that I wanted to bring up too, and I don't know what you guys think, even for like our January informational sessions, I do this a lot with my volunteer groups and I run it. It's really easy. But I know how to use like the Eventbrite. You can use Eventbrite and set up an online event and you can broadcast just the link and then people sign up. So you get their name and their email and you get an idea of how many people are planning to attend in person or on Zoom. So you could get an idea of, Andy will know 155 people are going to attend online and learn about the budget. But if you ever wanted to use that, I can show somebody. It's very easy. It's an easy way to track, or even just emails. Then you know who's interested. You know what I mean? To build a database of people.
Another question that I have, I guess, around this, and I don't know what the best mechanism or platform to do it would be, but is there value or interest in a community survey to ask people what avenues of communication would you like to see so that we don't miss something? I mean, Facebook's going to cover a lot of people, but not everybody. I think the days of putting everything in the Concord Monitor are kind of past us, but RSS feeds and Substack and it's all good, but it might be worth putting out to the community and see if anybody's got a bright idea, because this isn't a constant challenge. I wrote a paper on this and was published in 2011, but then you can force feed information and there's still going to be the majority of people don't get it. Or I don't mean don't get don't understand. They don't receive it. They don't open the email. They don't go past the subject line. So it's, in a way, it's an uphill battle, but it's sort of incumbent on us to do everything we can. So we might want to ask the community.
You might want to steal the March meeting day too. People are really used to, thanks to COVID, doing QR codes now because everyone's menu is, people know how to do it. You could actually have a survey and just ask people to scan the QR code when they come into March meeting. Someone's in charge of that. Please scan this, do our survey. And it could just be those quick, how do you like to communicate ABC?
Yep.
They even do it like the kids recital, the Nutcracker last week. There's no more programs.
Yeah.
You hold your phone up and people scanned it and that's your program.
Yep.
Everywhere.
Yep. So, at least you have a lot of people
do it.
coming in. If that was someone's job, could be a student at the door to grab everybody and say, please take our survey.
That's a good idea.
That was kind of where I was going to head with it, because we keep hearing from people who do come to meetings that we need to do other ways other than Facebook, or but that's said, but then there's no suggestion on how they think we should do that. And it would be good to have some of those suggestions saying, hey, the best thing for me is email, or you know what? I like a printout. Some people like that paper in their hand, as archaic as it may be to some of us. They like to have it printed out and in their hand. And so I think the best bet is to start with that survey and just see what we get for information.
I like that. Another thing, not to derail, another thing that I wanted to bring up around communications. There were comments at the SAU board meeting last night. People don't know what the SAU does, and I think that's generally fair, right? Like it's not super public facing. So I'm not saying this should start now, but I wanted to float the idea of a quarterly newsletter that comes from the and like a one pager. I'm not trying to put 10 hours of work on anybody. Is it? So then we need to, because I didn't even know that, right? And what I kind of like to see, and this is cheesy and campy, but I know you've seen it in academic departments, like one little corner of that every time should be spotlight on this person, right? Like, what does this person do? So okay, so then so we, all right, I've never, yeah, for real, but for real, so so we need to get that out there because that's
No.
no, that's what I mean. I've never seen it. I've never. Yeah, if we're not getting it, the public's not getting it. Yeah, no, I had no idea, obviously. So yeah, that would be good because we know, and obviously last night, like the not to get it off on that topic, but we had a discussion last night about how we wanted to go forward with the model of the staff at the SAU, and it was a unanimous vote. Like it wasn't, there was discussion, but at the end of the day, the boards, the people that are in the most constant contact with the SAU office are comfortable with how things are working there and value all of the staff. Certainly don't think that office is overstaffed, but it's hard to inform the public of that value if they have no idea what's going on in that building. So if we can get that out to the public, that would be fantastic, I think.
When we've shared information, people have sort of been surprised when they learn, like we have one HR coordinator for 750 employees. We have staff doing things that are pretty unheard of, and one payroll person and dealing with 6 different collective bargaining agreements, not counting the para agreement. So I think we take it for granted, like, oh yeah, we've shared that before, but it has to be repeated. Every 4 years, you've got a whole new group of parents coming through. So I think we need to resurrect that because we did have some of that and we've got some of it already built that we could just reuse.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right. I take it for granted that, that's what I do. That's where I am every day. So I see what those people do, but the general public doesn't really,
right.
It doesn't really mean anything to them when you say the SAU.
Right. And I think, honestly, I think that we should bolster the SAU. I've mentioned before, there was a study done by the teachers union a few years ago, and the person was from out of state and was sort of flabbergasted at how New Hampshire schools don't share services, and there's efficiencies to be had there. But if we keep overworking everybody, and if we keep expecting one payroll person to do that much work, we're not gonna backfill those positions when folks leave. We're not gonna attract the best talent, and we need the support of the community to make that happen. So I think as much as we can showcase what's going on up there, it's a good thing.
The other thing I know we talked about before, that I was thinking of too, and I know we're running out of time, is maybe the school board going forward does a little tiny paragraph in the town report with an update of the year.
I was actually, well,
And we might have time.
I was going to say, I'm not sure we can do anything for this year, unless
When's the
somebody has
deadline? January something?
I mean, if we want a couple sentences, we can whip something up. But I was thinking if we were intentional enough about it, we could jot a sentence or two every month at our second meeting.
Mhm.
And then at the end of the year, we can roll that up.
I agree. So
As
we
a,
can put that as a goal too, that we are going to have an annual report in the town. They call it the town report.
Yeah.
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I was thinking too, like tagging things from the principal's report, because the principals are
Yes.
bringing us like the positive stuff from the schools every week. So if we, at the end of next year, if we can say, Mr. Coughlin and his folks did these 6 very important projects, and these teams won this thing, and our robotics went back to Worlds, and yada yada.
Also, the entire fundraising document.
Yes,
that we got,
yes.
so that people have the answer before they ask this question cynically. That would be a great one. We could call it the bake sale list.
Yeah, yes.
The annual bake sale.
Brownies and cupcakes.
We probably, I'm not going to commit myself because I have some time off on Christmas, but we probably could. I'll go through some of the letters and stuff and maybe give you a few bullet points. Maybe we can have a tiny little paragraph.
Yeah, would you send an email to the administrators and just say, hey, they don't have to go back through all the, just like if you could each give us 3 things from the past year that
We
you
could
want us to
wordsmith it
highlight.
and have something there.
Oh, right.
That's in there.
Yeah.
It would just be going back through minutes, like just finding a few.
I feel like this is a rough, 2024 is going to be a rough time to come up with a bunch of high points.
Yeah, but think about it. We've done quite a bit. We've been busy an awful lot.
Yeah, but a lot of those
We-
busynesses were not in positive ways, sadly.
We need some of
We're going to save money on electricity because of our new arrangement with
that's.
There you go. Yeah, that's a good one.
We have-
cost savings to the taxpayer. They like seeing that in there.
Yes, they do like that. See,
And the
I bet
funding.
you a couple of us could
Yeah.
get a paragraph.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it can't hurt to try. If we, if we get to January and
If we get
the
it,
ball was dropped and we don't, no big deal. Okay. I don't want to rush us off this topic, but we do have other things. Do you have enough notes from tonight that you are comfortable like throwing together a paragraph?
plenty of ideas on the.
So do we want to? Yeah.
I think we have plenty, unless somebody has something to add to what is working really well right now. Other than one call now does work for our
Yeah.
students, for the students in the building.
Right.
It's narrow cast. It's the
Right.
problem.
Yep.
Right. The
Yeah.
information is
I-
narrow cast.
I would say the biggest gap
Yeah,
is the difference in information received by students and families of students versus the general public of the
Yeah.
community.
versus.
So if you want to draft something, we can look in January at that and tweak it. But do we want to pick a topic for next time? Like, what's the next one? We want to tackle facilities next time. We want to tackle.
Shrink this so that I can tell you. You mean from the goal sheet?
Yeah, like what's another broad topic that we can brainstorm next month?
Well, did do the culture survey. That's been completed. That's another good thing we can put in there that we did. Facilities, I guess.
Yeah, let's do that.
I want,
What would make sense?
I mean, we got the results from the culture climate survey,
Yeah,
but we've really never had a discussion.
We've not done anything
concerning
with it,
and
yeah.
How, how the administrators view it, how you view it, that kind of stuff. We've never really had that. Because we can look at the numbers, but we're not in the schools every day. And we can, it doesn't make, okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah,
it
can we
makes, it
put
makes
that
sense to put that forward and then say, let's take the data and what do we come up with for action points on
so
this?
which one do you guys want to do next? What do you want to do?
I think
I'm just writing it up
facilities,
for myself.
I think facilities is important because we've got Hill School sitting up there.
Yep,
We've got aging building that we're sitting in.
Yeah, really old
And-
HVAC systems.
yep,
Yeah.
facilities.
I think that's enough. We,
Okay.
you know, and then that, so if you want to draft something, we'll review that, we'll tweak it.
Yeah.
At the second January meeting, we'll do another brainstorming session on facilities.
Yeah.
And when we finish that, we'll pick what, topic we're going to hit in February. If we keep rolling along like that, by the time we break for the summer, we'll have
Yeah.
at least a framework of a plan in place.
Melanie, can I just have you add something to the end?
Yeah.
Because when we were discussing this previously, we did say, and we kind of said, well, that might fall under communication, but the yearly presentation of the audit, when the audits are finished.
So yeah, that's a good idea.
So I don't know if we want to add that under communication. Or if we
Yes,
want it to
I
be its
will.
own.
Yeah, because pretty much I will draft something that shows this is our goal, or this is for communication plan, like this is the goal, blah, blah, blah. This is what we want to have for a district-wide communication plan. And then we'll have little subcategories and we can tweak it after. So, and then if we want to start brainstorming with the same type of form for facilities.
Yep, that sounds good.
Okay.
I just, something was mentioned, we're having 2 public information sessions. Where we can't anticipate on Patty or Amber being there. The topic of audits was brought up. And while there wasn't any malfeasance anywhere in those reports, there were, people may ask us questions. So I don't know if there's a summary that can be done just to say, okay, these are where, this is, and, emphasize that there's no financial malfeasance, but areas were identified that the SAU needs to, or the SAU and the district need to work on to improve efficiency, or if there could just be some sort of just quick summary, because yeah, if there is, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, if it can be done for the first one, great. No pressure.
In the audit, there is that page that says, these are the things we want you to work on.
Yeah.
And then as each year proceeds, they say, well, this one's, they just start
And-
dropping off.
Right.
So-
That's the summary. That's what I'm looking at. Why
Yeah.
these things drop.
So I didn't know if you wanted it directly, like we could have the audit, the latest audit with thing, this is where we started, but this is where we're at now.
That's exactly
Yeah,
what I
okay.
meant. Yeah.
We can do it.
Agreed. Okay, anything else
We
around
put that
strategic
in the
planning?
report. We saved money. by
We
not-
saved,
Right.
we did not hire a facilitator.
Okay, anything else on strategic planning before we move to 4C? Good. All right. I asked for headmaster search to be put on here, but I don't have anything concrete to talk about. I just want Patty opinion on who we're going to be working with and what the timeline sort of looks like.
So we have some pretty significant searches to be conducting, and I have a limited number of staff to help with those. So I've been thinking about that and sort of thinking about who's going to be strategically placed where. I did let Amy Parkinson know that the board had mentioned her a couple of times because of her connections to Pembroke Academy. So initially she was going to help with the IT director search, but I'm going to pull her from that one, and she agreed to do the Pembroke Academy. So I think what we'll do, typically someone from the SAU helps coordinate with someone in the building. She has someone in mind, but we haven't asked that person yet, so I don't want to give any names yet, but she'll pair up with someone on staff at Pembroke Academy and work together. We're hoping, our goal is by Friday to have all of the positions posted that we have open, the 4 big ones, at least three big ones, so that we can get applications rolling in and hopefully give people time over the holidays if they see something and want to make that application and have that process get going. I think the headmaster search can be done now. Some of them it might be too early, but I don't think that one, I think with the tech one, more people might be in the tech industry and not want to give 6 months notice. That's a little bit different than an educational role. So I think the headmaster one, we should get going on right away. And then once we get that posted, she'll set up the structure and the timeline and look for volunteers to be on the committee and try to have representation. I think we'll do it like we've done it in the past, which is I liked the carousel where people could move around if you had enough people that wanted to come in and meet finalists, and they could go person to person, meet them, ask them questions. We've done that in the past. It really depends on how many candidates we end up with, what the timeline is, because if you don't have tons of candidates, you can knock off interviews in one night and then have one public visitation night. So we'll just have to see how that goes along. But Amy's done them, familiar with them. And
what do you expect, or maybe this is a question for Amy also, but what do you expect the role of the board?
The different boards have taken different approaches. It's been really sort of, I guess, the flavor of the board. Some boards wanted me to bring a candidate forward. Some boards wanted hopefully to have 2 candidates and meet them both, and then talk to the superintendent in non-public session and then make an offer from there. It's really up to what involvement you would want. We've had times where we've had a board member on a search committee that they were part of the interviews for the candidates. So you guys can, I don't know if you're ready to decide that now, but that.
Thoughts?
I think it's essential that at least one of the board members is on the committee.
I agree.
And I also think that we need to invite a member from each of the other towns because they all do feed into Pembroke Academy. But that's just my opinion.
Can we pull them into round 2 instead of round 1?
I'm fine with
Okay.
that. Yeah.
That way it's hard when you're sort of vetting the initial applicants. It's a lot to have like a ton of people. And then once you get you'll say, okay, these are the 4 people that are qualified. And
Just anticipating for a pool here. I know that this is not going to
Somewhere between 1 and 25.
Is it a non-zero number?
Probably.
it'll be a non-zero
Okay.
number. How many qualified candidates
gate,
are,
right.
are viable or
Yep.
we'll have to see.
Are
You
you,
never know.
are you going to be personally involved in this?
Well, I mean, that's something we can talk about. If you want me to be involved, it's not going to be someone who's working for me. So that's a consideration.
I understand, but like, 7 years now? So I kind of value your opinion.
I'm happy to.
Yeah, and furthermore, even in the superintendent search, I know you really can't be part of that, but I would almost hope that you would be maybe on the inside a little bit and know what's going on, so we can pick.
I pulled up a ton of stuff today for Carrie from prior searches, like sample questions, sample timelines. So I absolutely am willing to help and give any information that I can. And if you want me to be involved in the headmaster process, I'm happy to do that.
I don't see why you couldn't be, just because the new superintendent won't be. So I don't think that one way or the other.
Yeah, I mean,
I
even
don't
if
think
it's
you're
just
going to unload something on us and make us suffer. I don't think we've done that.
Yeah, even if it's just an advisory, like you do meet with each of them, even if it's in a committee setting, but we have an opportunity to have it on public with you and just get your thoughts, even if it's that basic,
agree.
that's valuable to us. So
And we could invite Amy too. She'll
Yep.
have gone through the whole process and we can all
Yeah.
talk.
okay, so
As far as the school board member, like, because I haven't been on here, obviously, with the headmaster search. Is it done during the day? Do these people come at night? Is it like,
some of both.
Yeah, it's usually starts at like 3 or 4 in the afternoon. Depends on how many candidates you have. Again, though, sometimes it's like a 3 o'clock, a 4 o'clock, and a 5 o'clock, or 6
Okay.
o'clock. Sometimes, if there's only a couple of candidates, it might be a 4 and a 5. Because you've got school-based folks too that sometimes have issues with coverage of their own.
and his will be posted ASAP? Because I know,
Dance.
yeah.
Yep.
Okay, good.
That my goal is Friday.
Okay.
So we post that. What do we think the time frame is when the process starts for bringing people in here?
Well, we'll
You know.
collect volunteers immediately, and then what Amy's going to need to do is work on a timeline of, okay, this is, we kind of work backwards. So
Right.
we want to nominate someone by this date, which means we should have the, forums this date and this date and this date. We back up and we need to get together pretty quickly. Because if you're going to, and again, you don't know how many candidates you're going to have. That impacts the entire process. Do interviews take a week? Do they take one day? And you want to have the opportunity for the community to come in and meet the headmaster candidates and other board members from other.
Why I'm asking.
Yeah.
It would be great to get the person signed before the town meeting.
Do you have
Yeah,
an
you can-
estimate of closing date? Like how long the position's gonna be? Because I was sort of surprised last night with the short time frame on that one. I understand why. I didn't know if there's a feeling along how, is this gonna, if we're posting it, what's that, the 20th?
Yep.
Yep.
Are we talking a month and by January 20th it's shut down? Shorter than that?
So January 10th is 3 weeks. January 17th is 4 weeks.
So, I mean, that's 4 weeks sounds.
You've done this.
Being that we're early, I think like if it was later, I think we gotta leave it open longer because you gotta collect more. But hopefully, we're at the front end of this, and the people that are anxious and looking for these jobs are going to see that. So I think I'm comfortable with 4 weeks.
I am too.
That's me.
That's enough of a window for sure.
Yeah.
Even with the holiday.
Smart, hopefully getting somebody.
Or maybe we make it that Monday, the 20th, since it's a holiday, and it would give people an extra weekend to get their materials together
Oh, yeah.
in case they're rushing. Because
Yeah.
for getting them Fridays, you
Monday,
gotta do it.
I guess it's a holiday, so that.
Yeah, so then they'll
21st.
do, yeah.
Or we could do it like a teacher.
Yeah.
And then when, we'll post it and Amy will start working immediately. So you'll have a committee ready and they'll know which weeks you're going to do the interviews, and we can lay all that out ahead of time, similar to the timeline I sent you for the last one of the superintendent searches that we did.
So that means we'll have a meeting, definitely at least one meeting before the posting is closed. So we don't need to decide tonight. So give some thought over the next few weeks to if you're interested and if you would generally be available to be the board member that's involved. And we can talk about that at the first January meeting.
I'm running another search right now
That sounds awesome.
that should wrap up right at that point if I do my job right and everyone cooperates.
Those are big
No.
efforts, Ben.
Well, HR takes control of it. Changes. So
Okay, any other questions around the headmaster search? Okay, then we added 4D to discuss a possible French candidate.
So we're early on in the process. But we do have a candidate that is in the application process that we may be interested in inviting to come for an interview. But this person is not currently New Hampshire certified, and the board, I think we did this for one other position where the person was in the process. It's the board that has to offer an emergency authorization for us I'm not hiring the person. The person's going to come before you before we do anything. But Amy asked, she works with people with alternative certifications, if we could do that tonight so that we could get rolling on that process. So if the board is willing to do an emergency authorization for a French teacher, hopefully we would have the process completed by your next meeting and I would be able to nominate this person.
I move to grant emergency authorization to start the hiring process for a French teacher.
I would second that.
Questions, comments, discussion? Love good news.
We're very excited. And these students are not going to have long in between Peter leaving and hopefully getting a candidate on board. And that would be the best case scenario.
Okay. All right, then hearing no discussion, all in favor of approving emergency authorization for the French candidate, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, definitely keep us
Awesome.
posted on
Yep.
that one.
We're wrapping up recommendations and then Dan needs to do an interview and then I'll need to do an interview, but we're going to make it happen quickly.
Cool. Still no public to provide comments, so the board has need to go in non-public session in accordance with New Hampshire RSA 91-A:3 Roman numeral 2, small letter C, which is matters of which discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person other than a member of the board. On a roll call vote, tendered on public at 7:52. Melanie,
Yes.
Jean, Gary, Ken,
Yes.
and I'm a yes. We will